You're watching Study with Sudhir. This is your favorite digital classroom. My name is T.S. Sudhir. Act 1, Scene 2 of The Tempest, which is part of the ISC Class 11 and Class 12 syllabus. And we are looking at the last explanation video of this particular scene. And this concerns the love at first sight between Ferdinand and Miranda on the island. Now, as we saw in the previous video, that is explanation video number 5, Ariel's music, which is an important part and component of this play and this scene in particular, has kind of led Ferdinand to meet both Miranda and Prospero, right? And it's very obvious that sparks have flown between Miranda and Ferdinand. It's love at first sight. And now what unfolds is what is the kind of reaction given by both lovers to Prospero, who is obviously playing a very clever game. Now, Prospero says in an aside, he says, "The Duke of Milan and his more braver daughter could control thee, if now it were fit to do it. At the first sight they have changed eyes, delicate Ariel, I'll set thee free for this." He actually tells Ariel that because he's so pleased with what Ariel has managed to achieve, he will actually set him free for what he has done right now. But basically, he's meaning to say that earlier, before this, Ferdinand had referred to the Duke of Milan, and he was referring to Antonio, who he thought had also perished in the Tempest, since he was also on board that ship. But now Prospero is referring to the real Duke of Milan, that is himself. So he is saying that the Duke of Milan and his even more brave and fine daughter could actually control you right now, if it was the right time to do so. And then he kind of exclaims that, oh, they have actually fallen in love at first sight. And then he says to Ferdinand, this is an aside, now he says to Ferdinand, "A word, good sir, a word, good sir, I fear you have done yourself some wrong, a word." Now, a word, good sir, essentially means that may I speak with you, may I speak to you, and I am afraid that you may have said something untrue, referring to what Ferdinand said a little earlier. And he says that it won't take more than a moment for me to tell you precisely what. Miranda, who is a little upset at the tone and tenor of how Prospero is actually talking to Ferdinand. She says, "Why is my father speaking to him in such a rude manner, ungently, such a rude manner? And this is the third person, he's the third man I have ever seen in my life," because she has so far seen in her life on the island only Prospero and Caliban, right? Earlier, we saw in the beginning of Act 1, Scene 2, we saw her remembering the 4 or 5 maids who used to attend on her. But as far as men are concerned, she has seen only Prospero and Caliban. And she says, he's also the first for who I have felt such feelings that it actually made me sigh. Sigh as in is also an expression of love, right? She says that I hope, pity move my father, that I hope that my father is compassionate, right, and sympathetic enough that he wants for me what I want for myself, to be inclined my way. That, you know, what I want for myself, that is Ferdinand, I hope that he is also thinking of the same, in the same way, inclined in the same manner. Ferdinand, "Oh, if a virgin and your affection not gone forth, I will make you the queen of Naples." So Ferdinand is already very sure, and in any case Ariel has also told him that his father is dead. So he is thinking of himself as the next king of Naples already. So what he says, that if you are an unmarried woman and if you have not been in love with anyone else, if you have not promised your love to someone else, I will make you the queen of the kingdom of Naples. Prospero, "Soft, sir, one word more." So now he says, "Wait, I have one thing to tell you." So, and then in an aside, Prospero says, when you say an aside, it essentially means, some student had asked me this question in the comment section, that what does an aside essentially mean? An aside essentially means that the other characters on stage cannot hear you, but you're talking to yourself, but you're saying it aloud enough for the audience to hear you. So the audience is privy to what's going on in your mind, but not the other characters on stage. So in an aside, Prospero now says, "They are both in either spouse, but the swift business I must uneasy make, leads to light winning, make the prize light." So he says they are very clearly in love with each other, but I need to kind of create some hurdles, some obstacles for them. So so that it is not like, they are falling in love too quickly, because when something comes very easily, they do not value it enough, right? And in this case, Miranda, since she has not seen any other man of that age, perhaps that's one of the reasons why she's falling in love so easily. So he says, in order to make people value what they're getting, it should not be made so too easy for them. Just like, as I always say, the process of studying, the process of learning is what makes the journey that much more interesting. If you are just getting marks khairat mein, it wouldn't really make the process and the whole journey that much more interesting, right? If you work hard, say in a subject like mathematics, then you get an 80 on 80, the pleasure is actually manifold. Okay, let's not digress. To Ferdinand now he says, one word more, I charge thee that thou attend me, thou dost here usurp the name thou owest not, and hast put thyself upon this island as a spy to win it from me, the Lord on it. So he now tells Ferdinand, I need to tell you one more thing. And what is it? And I demand that you listen to me. He says that you are actually stealing a name, and he's referring to the name of the title of the King of Naples. That actually does not belong to you. You are not the King of Naples, but you are proclaiming yourself as the King of Naples. And he accuses him of having arrived at that island as a spy in order to usurp the island from Prospero, who is the owner of that island, or at least that's how he projects himself, that you have come here as a spy in order to take away this island from me. Ferdinand says, no, I swear on my honor as a man that I have not come with any such intentions, and the audience knows he is speaking the truth. Prospero is obviously testing him and making things difficult for him, right? Miranda, there is nothing ill can dwell in such a temple. If the ill spirit have so fair a house, good things will strive to dwell with it. So Miranda says nothing evil, and now she's very clearly taking the side of Ferdinand, and this is a very important piece of dialogue, right? She says nothing evil can actually exist in a body like that of Ferdinand, because the body is so attractive. So you realize that this is being attracted by the physicality of Ferdinand to a large extent. And she says that since the body is so attractive, it's highly unlikely that anything which is negative or evil can actually exist in such a body, right? Ill as in referring to evil. And she says that if the devil also had a house, that is a body as attractive as this person, then good things will actually fight to live in that body of the devil also, right? So if the ill spirit have so fair a house, so please remember these kind of, because the Shakespearean language is not easy to understand, and as we are going further and further into the Tempest, you realize that the language is getting more and more tricky. Though I personally would think that the Tempest is a far more interesting play than Merchant of Venice. Good things will strive to dwell with it. Prospero now says to Ferdinand, follow me, right? Speak not you of for him, he is a traitor. Come, I will manacle thy neck and feet together, sea water shall thou drink, thy food shall be the fresh brook mussels, withered roots and husks, wherein the acorn cradled follow. So now he says to Ferdinand, follow me. To Miranda, he says, don't speak in his defense because he is a traitor, right? He knows he's not a traitor. He knows exactly how he has arrived on that island. But as I said, he wants to make things difficult for the young couple. So he accuses Ferdinand of being a traitor. And then to Ferdinand back again, he says, come, I will chain your neck and feet together. Manacle essentially means shackle, as in chain. And you will have only sea water to drink, salty sea water to drink. And what will your food be? Your food will be fresh brook mussels, that is fresh water shellfish. Fresh water shellfish, that is mussels, and withered roots and husks, wherein the acorn cradled. Mussels means shellfish and cradled means where it was lodged, right? Where the acorn was lodged, right? The acorn, the empty acorn shells which are found on the seashore. And he says, follow me. Ferdinand says, no, I will actually resist this kind of putting me in shackles that you are planning to put me under, that is, you are planning to chain me, I will resist this move of yours till you manage to overpower me, right? Till you manage to overpower me. And what Ferdinand does is to draw his sword. Draws means drawing his sword, but Prospero, with the help of his magic, with the power of his magic, he stops him from moving and is charmed from moving. Charmed referring to the magic of Prospero. Miranda, oh dear father, make not too rash a trial of him, for he is gentle and not fearful. So she says, please do not be very harsh with him, dear father. He is a gentleman and he is not a coward. Fearful as in coward. Prospero, what I say, my foot, my tutor. So he tells Miranda, what do you, my daughter, that is Miranda, who actually should be obedient towards me, are you telling me what to do? You know, my tutor as in, are you teaching me what I need to do right now? Put thy sword up, traitor, who makest a show but darest not strike. Thy conscience is so possessed with guilt. Come from thy ward, for I can here disarm thee with this stick and make thy weapon drop. So confident is Prospero of his magical power. So he says, you can draw your sword and you are actually putting on a nice show out here, but you would not dare to actually strike me with your sword because you will feel guilty about your reality, that is that of being a spy, that of being a traitor. And he says, step out of your defensive position. You don't need to be in a defensive position. You can be in an offensive and aggressive position. And if I want to, I can use my magic wand to disarm you. That is, get the sword off your hand and make it drop. So Miranda says, I beg you, father, beseech you, as in beg you. Prospero says, don't grab my clothes, go away. Miranda says, sure, please have pity on him. I will be the guarantee of his goodness, right? I will be his surety. That is, I stand guarantee for the fact that this gentleman Ferdinand is actually a good man. Prospero, silence, one word more shall make me chide thee. Chide meaning I will scold you, if not hate thee. So if you say one more word, I will scold you. Okay. If not hate thee, you know, if I don't go to the extent of hating you, I will definitely scold you for sure. And but the possibility of hating you also kind of exists in the realm of possibility. You are actually taking the side of an impostor, right? An advocate, as in you are siding with an impostor. Hush, thou thinkest there is no more such shapes as he. Be quiet, because you are thinking that there is no one as beautiful as Ferdinand, right? Shapes as in nobody as good looking, handsome or beautiful as him, because you have seen only him and Caliban. Of course, Prospero being a father, he doesn't include himself in the same category. You have seen only Caliban so far, and now you have seen this person. And he says that foolish wench, that is foolish girl. To most people, to the most of men, this is a Caliban, and they to him are angels. Meaning to say, to most men, this man actually looks like a Caliban. To most people, this man actually looks like a Caliban, and compared to him, most people look like angels. So he's trying to denigrate him, he's trying to ridicule him, he's trying to insult him and insult his good looks. Miranda says, then my affections are then most humble. Basically to say that my love is humble. I have no ambition to see a goodlier man. Basically to say that I have no desire to see a person who is more good looking, more handsome than this person. And to Prospero, Prospero says to Ferdinand, come on, obey, thy nerves are in their infancy again and have no vigor in them. He says, come on, and once again he is daring his courage, and he says, your muscles are like that of a baby, right? They have absolutely no strength, they have no energy. No vigor means no energy, no strength. Ferdinand, so they are, my spirits as in a dream are all bound up, my father's loss, the weakness which I feel, the wreck of all my friends, nor this man's threats to whom I am subdued are but light to me. Might I but through my prison once a day behold this maid, all corners else of the earth, let liberty make use of space enough have I in such a prison. Maid is referring to Miranda. He says, yes, my strength is all tied up. It's almost like a very bad dream because of the circumstances that I find myself in the sense that after the wreck of the ship, in the tempest, in the storm, obviously I have undergone a huge loss, especially that of my father, King of Naples. So there is a physical weakness that I am feeling because of the death of all my colleagues, all my friends, and then the threats of this man Prospero, who has captured me out here on this island, right? So he says that all this destruction, all the loss of all my friends, etc., would be nothing to me if I could actually, even if I am thrown into a prison, if through the prison window. So look at how he is comparing, and this particular dialogue is important of Ferdinand from an examination point of view. So he is basically saying, especially for students of class 11, he is basically saying that if I could be allowed to have a glimpse of this girl, this lady through my prison windows, right, then I would not need any freedom to go anywhere else in the world. A prison like that would actually give me the space, all the space that I needed, right? So if I could see her just once a day through the prison windows, that will be good enough for me. So that shows the extent of the love that Ferdinand is feeling for Miranda. So it's not a one-sided love, it's love from both Ferdinand and Miranda's side, right? Prospero, it works. So Prospero obviously is delighted that his plan that he had kind of put into effect is actually working. So, and to Ferdinand he says, come on. And then he says to Ariel, you have done well, Ariel. So he's obviously very pleased. So to Ariel, he also says, hark, what thou else shall do me. So basically listen to what else you need to do for me. So he's continued to giving a lot of assignments to Ariel, also praising him at the same time in order to encourage him in order to do more for Prospero. And in any case, he has promised to free him after 2 days. So that's another incentive for Ariel to do whatever Prospero orders him to do. To Ferdinand he says, Miranda says, be of comfort, my father is of a better nature, sir, than he appears by speech. This is unwanted, which is now came from him. Unwanted, essentially referring to rather unusual. So basically he is saying that take comfort, sir, as in Ferdinand, my father is actually of a more kind disposition, he is actually a more gentle person than what his words right now are making him appear to be. And the way he has acted, the way he is conducting himself with you, the way he is interacting with you, the way he is speaking to you is rather unusual going by his character. Because in the earlier interaction that we saw between the father and daughter, Prospero and Miranda, at the beginning of Act 1, Scene 2, we saw that it was a nice relationship wherein he was kind of talking in a very polite and a very nice fatherly, with fatherly affection to Miranda, right? Talking about Miranda as, you know, we saw, I saw you and that's what inspired me to stay on, to live on and to fight for my life. But now Prospero is showing a very different side of him. So in fact, through Act 1, Scene 2, the one character who has stayed in all the scenes is Prospero. And we are seeing different shades of Prospero, and that is very important. Even when you are writing a character analysis of Prospero, his relationship with Miranda, his equation in the beginning in Act 1, Scene 2 with Ferdinand, his equation with both Ariel and Caliban, all that actually give you a 360-degree view of Prospero, at least as far as Act 1, Scene 2 is concerned. So in your September-October examinations, if you get a character analysis of Prospero, make sure that you quote specific instances from each one of these 4 relationships that have been detailed as far as Act 1, Scene 2 are concerned. Okay. Now to Ariel, he says, thou shalt be free as mountain winds, but then exactly do all points of my command. So he says, you'll be as free as the mountain winds, right? You'll be as free as the mountain winds, but you need to first do what else I order you, command you. Ariel says, every little thing, to syllable, that is every little word that you utter from your mouth. So he says, come now, and he says, speak not for him. And I mean, this seems to be a reference perhaps to Miranda, that you don't need to speak on his behalf. Now, we have already done the summary as far as the first part of the Ferdinand-Ariel relationship, the music is concerned. What else is there in this particular thing which we have just read? Basically, Ferdinand is obviously charmed by Miranda, and the same is the case with Miranda and Ferdinand. Prospero's main business seems to be to make these two youngsters fall in love with each other, but he thinks it's happening too swiftly, so he wants to slow it down, which is why he's putting on this act of being angry and punishing Ferdinand, right? he also, why does the speaker, that is Prospero, call Ferdinand a spy, and whether he's really a spy. So when you this thing, you need to give the entire background of what has happened. Why does he call him a spy, and what is the result, and how does Ferdinand react to it? How does Miranda react to it? All that will be very important as far as these dialogue pieces are concerned, right? How Miranda reacts to Ferdinand and how does she defend her father before Ferdinand is also an important part that you need to know. Also, that whole thing of that I do not wish to see a goodlier man than him is also another important aspect of the whole theme of love in the Tempest, at least in the beginning right away, because the romance between Ferdinand and Miranda, which is also being engineered to an extent by Prospero, is all very important, and he sees this as a route to reclaim and regain his dukedom of Milan, right? So these are the important points as far as this particular scene is concerned. We have finished the Act 1 scene 2, both scenes of Act 1. We will be looking at the questions sometime later, and I don't want to kind of rush into it and look at only the September-October exams, but look at the Tempest in a more holistic manner, because what happens subsequently will also have a bearing on how you answer the questions if a dialogue comes from Act 1 Scene 1 or Act 1 Scene 2, right? So I hope this has been of use. I'm personally enjoying teaching the Tempest, and I hope you'll be able to appreciate it as well. Thank you very much for watching.